Hey y'all, it's Poseidon. We're here with episode 4 of the Poseidcast. So, just a quick little thing before I go too far into the podcast. I did increase the blur, so if you notice my background's blurry, I'm using the software to blur the background just so you don't have to see my entire background. But I increased it by a recommendation from someone, so if you think it's too blurry or anything like that, just let me know because there might be some times where like I'm moving or I'm pointing at something and then like they're right there and my finger's just too blurry. So, yeah. I'm just gonna try it for this, and then if it's really bad, I'll change it. But, yep, we're going on. So we got some topics for today, as you see over here in your top right, my top left. We're gonna go over. We're gonna start with Khameleon and do tier list matter. So it seems like the community likes to go in a cycle where we just kind of have we claim about the best thing, and right now it seems to be Khameleon cameo. Very strong cameo, but we'll get into that in a second. We got results from this weekend, going over the tournaments that happened at both Texas Showdown and Level Up Expo, as well as talking about some tournaments that have been happening throughout the week online. I'm going to talk about a little bit about those. We're going to talk about the Pro Komp finale, who's in the Pro Komp finale, and we have some events coming up this weekend and next weekend, and Combo Breaker that's going to determine who gets in, and obviously Last Chance Qualifier. So we'll get into that as well, and then we have NRS comp is more than just the top 10 players. So what I mean by that is that like there's a large majority, or not majority, there's a large amount of people in the community who watch competitive gameplay who seem to like either not care or act like results don't count and things don't count if like the top 10 players of like Ninja Killer, Sonic Fox, Rewind, Combat, Connie Monty, Tekken Master aren't at the event, then it just doesn't matter, and like the results are null and void. And I think that's just complete nonsense. We'll get into that in a moment, but like we gotta ask, like if you're a top 20 player, you're not good at the game, or even if you're top 50, like if you're a top 100 player in the game, you're absolutely insane at the game. You are very good. But we'll get to that in a second. So we're gonna start off Khameleon / do tier list matter. So the first topic, let's start off with Khameleon. And Khameleon is obviously, I think, right now the best cameo in the game. I don't think that's really up for debate. I don't know who you can even really argue is better. Maybe Janet, potentially. But Janet, like, she's really strong. But there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of nuance with Janet, other than like, I mean, a lot of people just kind of use the punches, and that's really good. But to use her other stuff, it requires a lot of like training, practice, and just understanding of how to apply her, other than just doing crazy corner combos or getting like one mix up with her. But she's really strong. But Khameleon, I think, is the best in the game right now. You get so much versatility with Khameleon that it's a bit insane almost, because like you get like safety with katana fan lift plus potential combo extensions with the fan that make you minus, I think, 6 or 7. 7, there's actually a big difference. I probably should know that. I think it's minus 7. But it also 2 hits, so if you try to like armor the fan, a lot of times it will just armor break and still do the combo extension anyway. A lot of the characters in the game can just combo extend right off the fan, even at mid-screen, and everyone pretty much can in the corner. Reptile's one of the characters that can't combo off fan, but can in the corner. So that's really nice. That's really good. And helpful. Let me move this glass jar here. And you know, then there's the ball roll, and you get an overhead. You get an invincible wake up. You get an overhead option that all launches if it hits, and then you have the size. So like, there's a lot of situations where if your character has a low, like for example Sub-Zero, I think it's forward 1 2 3. If you do forward 2 1 and you do Melina ball roll overhead and you get a launcher, and then if you do forward 1 2 3 and you do the size, then you can combo off the size. So it's like you get a combo either way with Melina. And then the glaive is so good because it gives you combo extensions, gives you a crazy projectile, it gives you plus frames after your buttons, it gives you even with the glow, you get projectile immunity for a short amount of time, as long as you don't get hit by anything or block anything. It's crazy the amount of utility you get with the character, and like people are kind of talking about, oh, this character needs to go, this character needs to be nerfed, or how would you nerf this character? And I'm not really one to try to be like, this is how we should do it. You should nerf this, or you should make ball roll minus 25 on block instead of 18, so it's easier to punish. Because that's also a thing, is people upset that you can't punishing ball roll when you block it, so essentially when you guess right on the mix, isn't very easy. It has a lot of pushback, and there's some characters that struggle to punish it. So which adds another layer to how good Khameleon is. Just a very strong cameo in general, and like I said, I don't really know how we would go about nerfing it. I do think it needs to be changed, but I think that she's like pretty much everyone's like best cameo. It seems like you can use her with any character and you get a decent amount of application. You get a lot of stuff. So I don't know how we nerf her. I think she probably should be at least toned down a little bit, because she just has so much applicable use. She's very good, and even though you can control when she's up, it's almost like as if it's a benefit to you as well that's the case, because your opponent constantly has to keep track of which one you're on, which disguise you're in, because that completely changed how you approach a matchup. Like there's some people who really rely on, for example, like Johnny really relies on Glaive to get in because he kind of struggles to get in sometimes. And when when he has Glaive up, he just throws in the Glaive and then boom, he's in, and he can start his Johnny pressure. But other characters rely on other aspects of it. I mean, I think Glaive is also just insane. Just double mid plus projectile goes full screen, plus frames. It's really good, and I honestly, like I said, I don't know how we would change it, but it's really strong. And then that kind of leads into the next topic of do tier lists matter? And I think at the end of the day, especially nowadays when games are being really balanced and they're kind of being constantly updated, they really don't. So we saw this weekend, and we'll talk about it later. We saw a Sub-Zero make it to grand finals at Texas Showdown. We saw like a Reiko win a tournament, and Reiko debatably is a top 5, even top 3 character. But we see like MK Javier do super good with Scorpion. We saw Dead Snow at least make top 8 with Garrus at Texas Showdown this weekend. We see constantly, time and time again, that these characters can do it. Is it a little bit easier to win with higher tier characters? I think so. I mean, like I was playing Tanya on stream yesterday, and I was getting pretty it felt like easy wins. I don't think it exactly was. I mean, but it's definitely a lot easier to play higher tier characters. But then you kind of have the double-edged sword of it, because when it's a higher tier character, they're going to be more fleshed out, so people are going to have more counterplay. People are going to be more familiar fighting Tanya than they are fighting Garrus or they are fighting Reptile. And so that can sometimes play to your advantage. So when you play a lower tier character, there's less familiarity with the character, and therefore people aren't going to fully understand how to fight it. They may not understand the frame data, they may not know the gaps, they may not know what your character is capable of with your particular cameo, and it kind of works like that. I also come from a region that, at least for Super Smash Bros. Melee, for a while, our region was dominated by a Zelda player. And if you know anything about Melee, the balancing was non-existent. The game came out in 2001 and it was not updated. So we have 23 years of fleshing out the game, and Zelda is just outright not a good character. F tier has 7-3, maybe even 8-2 matchups, really bad. And this player was just so good with Zelda that they were able to win tournaments basically every single tournament that happened in my area in Syracuse at the time. That it almost morphed my view. And then we went to this big regional tournament, and then they did super good at that tournament, and we're just taking out name after name, taking out up and coming players, taking out people playing Fox and all these different matchups. And it was just so crazy, and it kind of just completely changed my way of viewing how tier lists work. And it was one person, but that kind of goes to show that if you're willing to put the time into a character, then it'll work. And that kind of goes into it. And I watch there's a streamer, Tweety, who so a lot of you guys probably know if you're involved in the Mortal Kombat community, and a lot of people go into his stream and be like, hey, who do you think the best character to start out is? Like, if I want to get good, who's the best character? And Tweezy's response basically every single time is play the character that you enjoy the most, because what's going to happen is if you enjoy them the most, you're going to put in more time and you're going to be able to get better. So if you're really enjoying yourself and putting in a lot of time playing a character, you're going to get better than if you just pick up a top tier and just try to ride the momentum of how good the character is and how strong they are. So at the end of the day, I really don't think tier lists matter. I really don't think the camo you choose matter. You can make it work. Just you got to practice. You got to put the time in. You got to lab and do all the crazy stuff that you need to do to get good at the game, because it is a long journey. It's hard, and I understand why people go towards top tiers, because not only are top tiers the best characters in the game and have the best options, but then a lot of people are using those characters so you can kind of cherry pick and pick tech up from other people. So it is in a way a little bit easier, but then also it's harder for ways I explained. So I do not think tier lists matter. I think tier lists are cool to make. I think it's a good content strategy. Maybe I'll make one myself soon, or at least a reptile matchup chart, or maybe a cameo one. So there's a lot of options for tier lists in this game, and that's why I think they're such a popular thing. And with the new update that came out a few weeks ago, people have just rushed to make tier lists and stuff like that. So it's a good content idea. I don't think they matter too much, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. All right, and so that's my rant for that. And so we're going to go into part 2. We're going to go into the results from this weekend. That kind of jumped into my previous point of the tier lists matter, because this weekend at Texas Showdown, we had a Sub-Zero by the tech of Arona go all the way to grand finals to go up against Dialogue. Dialogue eventually took the tournament. Arona took down name after name. Rio, Hourglass of Rain, AJ, Violets, through pools took out Dark Elite, took out SSG, Super Saiyan God, just took out a lot of killers, a lot of very good players. And like Sub-Zero, like at the beginning for a while, people were like, he's the worst character in the game. And now with community, he's like, all right, he's pretty good. He's like mid tier. And now people are like, he's busted. I saw my boy Wraith put up a tier list. He was like with Khameleon. Sub-Zero's like top 5. And it's like, I don't know if that's the case. That might be a bit exaggerated, but Sub-Zero is a good character with Khameleon. I'm just going to say it. I have been playing it a little bit. It has a lot of stuff. I think they're a good character. At least minimum mid tier. But again, who really cares? Doesn't really matter, as I previously stated. So I was going to go over the top 8 and pull up. I had the results right here from this weekend at Texas Showdown. I'll just bring up exactly who made top 8 and where. There's a few surprising names on there. So we had Dialogue, AJ, a good player. We see some online results from them, but to make Winterside top 8, definitely very impressive. There's a guy named Sin Trash who played Ashra, who was Winterside top 8. And lost to Hourglass, and then lost to Violets 3-0-3-0. So they got 5th place. And then loser side, we had Dead Snow versus Violets, and we had Rio versus Arona. We haven't seen Arona made all the way to 2nd place. Dead Snow ended up losing to Violets. Violets ended up beating Trash. Arona ended up beating AJ, then beat Violets, then beat Hourglass in losers finals to go to grand finals. So Dialogue. That was the results from this weekend, and just to go over it, I mean, like, we had Shao Kahn, generally considered like a mid-tier-ish character, won the tournament, Sub-Zero and Grands. We had a couple Ashras. I think the thing is, Ashra is, like, a lot of people think Ashra is like a mid-tier character. Just because she has a lot of straightforwardness. She doesn't have a lot of mix. She has disjoint, but she doesn't have a lot of crazy shenanigans and stuff. I mean, her armor's good, but like, if you read it, then it's like, okay, you know what I mean? You just don't, like, you don't want to fall into her traps and stuff. Like, she is a good character. I don't know if she's, like, people are like top 5 or I don't know if she's in that category. But I mean, we saw AJ and Trash, both Astra players, and then Level Up Expo. We also had Soy Sayano Astra. We had Full Auto Astra, Sizoth Astra. So we had four of the 16 people in top 8 this weekend at the 2 big Mortal Kombat events were playing Ashra. So mid-tier character. And so that it goes to show that tier lists don't matter. Like, people are saying, like, we see like Melinas all over the place. We saw 2 Melinas at Texas Showdown. And, you know, people are like, there's characters like mid-tier or even low-tier. I don't buy that. But again, like, it's just like, just play the character that you want to, but yeah, I mean, we'll go over to Level Up Expo because I kind of talked about the first tournament. But we had King Gambler make it a losers finalist, Winterside top 8. Winterside top 8, King Gambler, Han Rashid, Pulse, and Chris G, Reptile player. Let's go into show Reptile considered potentially a low tier character Chris G makes winner side top 8, and Chris G, like, doesn't really even play the game. He just uses fundamentals. And when I was watching him play this weekend, I was like, he doesn't have like any of the advanced tech, but he just plays super solid. Like, it's a super solid game plan. He's going to block pressure. He's going to, when he does pressure, he's going to put on mix-ups and stuff like that. He was using Reptile Striker, and he was using it very effectively. It was just very cool and interesting to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed watching him play. He did lose to Pulse and then eventually to OD Full Auto. And then we had Soy Sayano versus Full Auto. I think that was an Astra Mirror. Full Auto won that. We had Size Off versus DJT, Astra Johnny. And then I think Sizeoff actually went go Sub-Zero game 3, but DJT ended up taking that. And then Gambler went on to play Pulse in Winners Finals. Pulse took that 3-0. Chris G versus Full Auto, 3-0. Full Auto won 3-2. Very close set. Hamrashi beat DJT 3-0. Then Hamrashi went on to beat Full Auto 3-0. Then Hamrashi went on to beat Gambler 3-0. And then Hamrashi in Grand Finals resets the bracket 3-2 versus Pulse, and then resets the bracket again, then goes 3-2 and wins that set again in the Grand Finals reset to win the tournament. So Han Rashid ended up winning Level Up Expo with Reiko, and I made a video saying that this player prove that Reiko is top 3, and that's kind of where the fourth topic comes in with a lot of comments, but we don't necessarily need to talk about those too much. Or talk about those comments, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But yeah, this weekend was really cool. It was really fun to watch. It was cool having multiple events happen. And it's just cool watching offline events because it really gets the community talking. I mean, like sometimes with like Pro Komp events or really big online events, but the thing is, when a big offline event happens, the community is kind of buzzing. People are talking. People are talking about Rona's run. People were talking about, oh my gosh, Reiko top 5, Reiko top 3 even. And it's just really cool to see, and I really enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to that we're gonna have Combo Breaker, and then we have Final Combat. Like I said, we have this like stretch of like we have an event like every 2 weeks, where we have Combo Breaker, and then Final Combat, and then CEO, and then Evo, and we're kind of just going into that. So it's gonna be really cool to watch, and I'm really excited for that. But yeah, let's get into the third topic, and that's gonna be who is in the Pro Komps. And so right here, what we can see is we have the rankings right now. We have, these are the top 9. So it's like, so who makes it? There's 10 regional qualifiers, as we can see down here. We have NA East West. We have the Intercontinental, which is EU West, EU East, Middle East, and Oceanic. And then we have the Liga Latina, which is South America, which is Norte, South, Sur, Mexico, and Brazil. So one player will make it from each of those regions, and then the top 9 players, and then also the winner of the last chance qualifier, which will be happening the day before Pro Komp. So for that Friday, there's going to be a last chance qualifier that's happening in Toronto at the same venue. Winner of that will go on to participate in Final Combat and at least pool play. So right now, so an interesting thing is that with the amount of point structure, you can see by a point breakdown, if you click on this, that the winner of the online event gets 210 points, and the winner of the global event gets 400 points. So you see, so there is one more online event for NA East and West, and then the finale. So someone could win both. Someone who's not even on the leaderboard right now could win both of those and potentially qualify through points for the finale. That would be very interesting. I mean, we still have some American players here, but like Killer Jenok can only get points at combat or Combo Breaker. Nicolas actually won the Liga Latina Sur region, so he's already in. But I think it actually is through points. So it's like, if you make it through points, then you qualify through points. And if you win through your region, then whoever comes in second place. But then the person who came in second place, Scorpion Prox, is also probably pretty much guaranteed to qualify through points. So it's very interesting. It gets really complicated. I wasn't going to go over like possibilities and like, oh, how could this person make it if they do that? Because it would just get so complicated. I would be here for like 5 hours trying to explain, okay, well, if this person gets second place at the Pro Komp and then gets third place at Combo Breaker, they can make it by a tiebreaker or something like that. Like, that would just be too much. But Just saying that we have 2 events pretty much going on, the NA East and West this weekend, which top 8 is going to be doing Sunday night during Strawberry Sundays, is what it is. And then we have Combo Breaker coming up at the end of May, the 26th through the 28th. If I am not mistaken, it is the 24th through the 26th, so I was mistaken. So yeah, they're really cool, and we see this. So let's take a look at who qualified. So I'll say it's through the North Tay region, we had Brosive win over Young Jaquelo. Young Jaquelo actually won all 3 of the previous qualifiers. That's actually why he's so high on the leaderboard right here. But he ended up blue. Did he only win? Did he win? No, he only won 2 of those. I guess he only participated in 2. Whatever. But Brosive PR ended up winning the regional qualifier for that. For the Sur region, we had Nicolas win that. Through the Mexico region, we had Illuminati, the Kung Lao player, win that. Through Brazil, we had Zeus, the Raiden player, win that. So with a lot of killers in the Brazil region, Zeus was the one who ended up taking that. Through EU West, I don't know who was East and West. That was confusing me. So this was the Connie Monty region. Yeah, so Video Games Yo won this one through the West, and then through the East it was Macaron. He won that one. Middle East was Faisal over Tekken Master. So really cool. So Faisal is going to qualify. Tekken Master looks like he's going to qualify through points already, especially if he goes a Combo Breaker and just has a halfway decent performance to his standards, then he will be in. And then we have the Oceanic winner, which was Soul's Clue, winning it over Waz. So that was actually a really cool set. I think Tweety made a video on that. So if you want to go watch that, something about a Sindel player, it was absolutely nuts to watch. Sindel Cyrax. It was crazy, really cool. If you haven't watched that yet, consider checking that out. But it was really cool. So then we still have the East and West. So we have one last qualifier from East and one last qualifier from West. So West, we have this. The people in green, those are the people who are right now projected to make that qualifying event. So if you win that qualifying event, so they take top 8. So we have the event this week, and this week is going to be for points. And then next week is the top 8, and if you win that top 8, you are in Final Combat. What's interesting is like Sonic Fox obviously seems to be the front runner to win this thing, win the West. But if Sonic Fox wins that, Sonic Fox is likely going to get in through points anyway, barring unless he or they just decide not to play this weekend or just do super bad for somehow, and then don't go to Combo Breaker and don't participate, then maybe they won't make it through points. But I'm assuming they're going to make it through points. Whoever gets second place at this event is going to qualify for the finale. So that could be, King Gambler, that could be Hourglass of Rain, Rewind. If I recall, is actually pretty close to points as well. Rewind, where's Rewind? Oh, actually, Rewind's pretty far back. And look, Rewind's 31st. So Rewind, it might be Rewind. It could be Gambler. It could be Hourglass of Rain. I mean, Gambler's already here, so that puts up that's very interesting to see how he does there. I'm assuming Gambler's going to go to Combo Breaker as well. I'm assuming Rewind's going to be a Combo Breaker. I think Hourglass of Rain's going to be a Combo Breaker. So the amount of scenarios that could come up are basically endless. But to look at this weekend to see who's going to qualify for that event, we have Lankiness could potentially sneak in, Violet, DJT's a really good player. He could go get a really good run this weekend of him to qualify at least for the top 8. And then I said the winner of that top 8 is going to be in the finale. So it's going to be really interesting to see from the West. From the East, Ninja Killa is obviously the favorite. He's looking like he's about to get in just through points alone. Yeah, look at that. And then if he wins this weekend, he's basically in through points. He's going to be at 900. He's going to be the front of the leaderboard if he wins this weekend. Same thing with Sonic Fox. So Sonic Fox, Ninja Killa will be 1 and 2, and they probably are both going to go to Combo Breaker. I'm not sure. Maybe Ninja Killa won't go to Combo Breaker if he's already in through points, or just wins the Final Combat finale online, which is looking like he's potentially going to do, or at least the final week. I hope this makes sense. Because I said there's 3 qualifying events for points, and then if whoever finishes in the top 8, in terms of just overall score through points, they go into a top 8 finale, and the winner of that qualifies for Final Combat automatically. So that's really cool, interesting to look at. Where's Combat? Combat is 11, so if he does well this weekend, he could potentially get in through points. So there's a situation where first and second of the finale and the West and the East Coast both getting through points, And then we have someone like Unjust get third place at that tournament, but they make Final Combat, or just, I don't know, just Nasty's really playing that much, or or like get Rectio, something like that. So it'll be really interesting to cool and see what happens these next 2 weekends. For the qualifying events. Also, one of the things I want to talk about is the Sur region. So right now, Nicholas ended up winning the top 8, as you see right here, over Scorpion Prox. However, there's a high possibility that both Nicholas and Scorpion Prox both make it in through points. So that means the person who came in third place for the finale will get in, and that was Shikamaru. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but they got third place, so they could potentially be in Final Combat with Scorpion Prox and Nicholas because they both make it in through points. That'll be interesting to see. It's really cool to see how this is all going to shake out. It's going to shake out in some crazy way. Definitely make sure you're paying attention to the regional qualifiers this weekend, this Saturday going into Sunday. You're going to have to pay attention to the brackets. I'll put the brackets in the description for East and West Coast so you can keep up, because those aren't going to be streamed, but the top 8 for each of those regions will be streamed on Sunday. I think it's like 5 o'clock to like 8 is East, and like 8 to 11 is West, something like that. I'll make sure to at least leave those brackets in the description for you so you can keep up and pay attention to that. But that's pretty much it when it comes to like the qualifiers. It looks like Kanimani was potentially going to be in, maybe if he goes to Combo Breaker, because he didn't make it in through the qualifier because he ended up losing the Video Games Yo. So we shall see. It's really interesting how this is going to shake up. And yeah, I mean, I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. I will make sure to answer all of those because I can likely explain that. So, and we're going to go to the 4th topic, which is the NRS competitive community is not just the top 10 players. So this weekend, we obviously had 2 big offline events, and no real like top 10 ranked players were there, at least for I made a top 100 competitive ranking, and nobody in the top 10 from that competitive ranking of 2023 was at any of the events this weekend. There were multiple top 100 players, like all over the place at these events, and that's what kind of like. And then I made a video. And the video was labeled, "Did this player prove that Reiko's top 3?" And it was showing grand finals, Han Rashid winning the tournament. He had this thing on his phone that said Reiko's top 3. And I was getting a lot of comments on the video. And I know you shouldn't take them too seriously, so I'm not like, I was so devastated. I'm saying like in terms of like, it kind of like speaks to how the community, a lot of the community views it. As there's a large chunk of people who view the competitive scene as only like the top 10 players. So if you're not, Sonic Fox, Ninja Killer, Rewind, Combat, Tweety, like people just seem to like be like, this doesn't matter. These events, nobody cares about these events because they didn't have any top players there. These aren't big events. These aren't tournaments that people care about, or these aren't events that should be taken serious. And that's just ridiculous because the community is so much more than that. And the thing is, Sonic Fox and like Ninja Killer don't show up too often. Like we saw them at ECT, and that was basically it for offlines. And then there was that big like tournament that had all that money on the line that ended up having some controversy, like the first like week of Mortal Kombat 1 being out. The Sonic Fox 1 2, and that was basically it. Like you haven't really seen them at tournaments. Like even like DreamHack Atlanta was a big MK1 tournament that happened in Atlanta, which is close to where Ninja Killer was, and he didn't even show up. And it's like, I understand why, because like for the money aspect and stuff like that, if there's not enough money on the line, it's just not worth it, and they make more money through like YouTube as well. And there's other games they want to play, like they're into Tekken, they're into Street Fighter. Sonic Fox plays every new game that comes out and is always super good at them. But at the same time, if they don't show up, then like we have to like be like, okay, who's the next up? In the movie Coach Carter, he like brings up all these rules to the players and hands them these sheets like, how you guys will follow these, you guys will dress up, you have to maintain a certain grade point average. And like the 2 best players, like, we're not going to do that, and they leave. And they're like, and some guy was like, those are our 2 highest point scorers. And then he's like, then we'll have new ones. And it kind of goes like, if Sonic Fox and Ninja Killer aren't going to show up, it's like, then we'll have new top players. And that's just kind of how it goes. And we can't just invalidate. We can't just act like. And I have heard, not to quote him again, but Tweety talk about it. It's like people like after the 2019 Pro Komp, people just like, or it was actually 2022 or 2020. after 2020 Pro Komp for MK, a lot of people just like forget anything that's happened since, and like don't have any think like nothing after that really matters. And that like if you weren't in that like finale, then like you're not a good player. And we have to take validity from these events because there's people that are showing up, showing out, putting their names on the line and doing super well. And we have to be able to take these events into consideration when it comes to thinking about how good characters are or how good individual players are. Like, this was a $5,000 tournament. Hanashi just went and made a couple $1,000s this weekend, which is more than a lot of people make in like a week of work. And he just went into that playing some Mortal Kombat this weekend. So that's like the event doesn't matter and didn't prove anything. And like I said at the beginning, I don't really think tier lists matter too much. But we have to be able to take those results and get some validity from them. And if you're a top 50, top 100, top 200 player, you're good at the game. Like, you are, and you shouldn't let other people tell you that you're not. We shouldn't let people say, like, oh, these people weren't at events. And, like, it was kind of, like, making me, like, a little, like, upset even. It was just, like, and I wasn't even the one there. I mean, I just made the video. I wasn't even the one. It's just, like, you're gonna, like, not allow this person to have this result count because these people didn't show up. And it's like, and then it was like the video title was Reiko, just put Reiko's top three. It's like these top players weren't there, so it's like if top players don't go, then we can't take the results from the event. But if they do go and they do well with the character, then that character is good. But then they're top players, so they would do good with like any character. So there's like this like conundrum that like we can't be like this character is good because no top players were there at the tournament. But then, like, if the top players did go and did well, and is it the character or is it the player? And it's like, at what point do we just, like, is it like, okay, whatever the top players play, those are just the best characters in the game? That's not necessarily true. Like, even Sonic Fox went and won ECT with Rain, and I don't know if, like, some people were probably like, wow, Rain's busted, but, like, I don't think he was. Nobody really picked up Rain, or people that did pick up Rain, nobody really got results. The only really good Rain player right now, even after the buffs, is Bandino. It's like, there's obviously good Rain players out there, but he's clearly the best one. And clearly winning online tournaments and stuff like that. Just won the most recent Strawberry Sunday. Pretty much all Rain. I think played a little bit of Lou. But it's just like we have to be able to take the results that happen and not make them with a grain of salt because Sonic Fox and Ninja Killer weren't there. And, you know, obviously, you know, it would be nice if we had more money on the line and these players were enticed to go to more events. But at the same time, if they're not willing to show up, or if they're not going to show up for XYZ reason, that we need to be able to count those events and make them go towards some sort of ranking. I'm making the top 100 competitive ranking with a group of people. I'm actually a little bit behind on that. But it is what it is, and I will get that done. I will get those players made, and we'll get a top 100 ranking out for you guys this year, and we'll count events like Level Up Expo and Texas Showdown very heavily, because Texas Showdown was the third biggest Mortal Kombat 1 tournament this year. So we had Frosty, Bostings, and we had the Pro Komp event, and Texas Showdown was like on par with numbers from the Brazilian Pro Komp event. So it's like it was almost, if not maybe with DQs, had more players in attendance than the Brazilian Pro Komp event. So it was the potentially second biggest event for Mortal Kombat 1 this year. And we're just not going to count it because Sonic Fox Ninja didn't go, or Combat wasn't there, or Rewind, or Gur, or Mighty Unjust, or Kanimani, or Tekken Master. It's just that we have to be able to count those events. But I think that's gonna do it for me, guys. I hope that makes sense. And it's like, for players, if only we can only count the results from top players, but then, you know, it's like, how do we even get accurate tier lists, or how do we even count like, oh, this character is good, if we only like validate play from top players? Because then it's just whoever they pick because it's the best characters. All right, but yeah, that's gonna do it for me, guys. This is the episode 4 of the Poseidcast. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure to sub to the channel. I make these podcasts weekly. I also upload other videos basically daily. And that's gonna do it, guys. Let's keep gaming. Let's keep watching competitive Mortal Kombat. Let's keep pushing the game. And let's keep doing what we can for the community. Thank you all so much. And I'll see you at the next video.